A few of you have asked me to talk more about what I do for a living, and to put it simply, I draw clothes. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Vladimir and I'm a freelance fashion illustrator and designer based in Lagos, Nigeria. On this channel, I'll be sharing tips on how to improve your fashion illustration skills, how to build a creative career, and what it is like working from home as a freelance artist. So if that sounds interesting, make sure you hit the subscribe button and let's get started. Guys, if I talk weird, it's because I just got my braces and I'm not used to them yet. So please bear with me. I'm going to try my best to enunciate as much as possible. So let's go, okay? Now let's talk about the reality of being a fashion illustrator. Let's start with the real tea, okay? Being a fashion illustrator isn't all about sketching pretty dresses and sipping coffees in trendy cafes. Although I wish, sometimes it's more like, help, I have 5 deadlines and my clients just asked for another revision. Yes, it is like that. It's about capturing a mood, expressing creativity, and also understanding what the fashion industry wants. And yes, that might mean drawing the same dress 10 times until the client feels just right about it. What's the good news, you might ask? Well, with digital art and online platform blowing up, there are so many ways to get your work out there, but do not expect it to always be rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes it's more like rainstorms and headaches. But if you love it, it is totally worth it. Now, the first step to actually making a living as a fashion illustrator is finding your niche and developing your style. Like, no judgment, you can draw whatever you like, or maybe you're really good at illustrating those super complex, impossible to draw fabrics like satin and lace. Whatever it is, play around, experiment, and find what makes your heart and pen happy. Trust me, once you find your groove, your work will stand out. Next up, building a portfolio. This is your chance to show potential clients why they should hire you and not someone else. You want to showcase your range, everything from quick sketches to those mind-blowing, fully rendered pieces that screams, hire me, I'm fabulous. So when it comes to creating your portfolio, you should not be too hard on yourself. Your portfolio does not have to be too perfect. I mean, it has to be perfect, but not too perfect. This is the portfolio that landed me my biggest client last year. And fast forward to this year, we're working on our 3rd project together. And I'm talking about a very, very big brand, very international brand here in Nigeria. So I found out that this brand was looking for an illustrator, and what I did next was to create a resume. I collated a few sketches that I've done for my previous client and some that I did in my personal time and put them together. I also went the extra step to look at what the brand actually produces, and I saw that they do a lot of print work. I made sure I intentionally added a lot of printed fabric designs in my CV so that they are able to know that, okay, this is what I'm capable of. Another thing you should never do in your portfolio is lie. There are some applications that I'm not really good at, and I let them know that I'm a beginner at this, I'm a beginner at that, but I'm pro at this. You just have to be truthful and just hope for the best. All right, now for the $1 million question, how do you actually get clients? First of all, you're going to want to be everywhere. Like everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest. I don't care if you don't like social media, post your work. Your clients are out there scrolling. I get a lot of my clients from Instagram, thankfully, even though I don't have up to 6,000 followers, and I have enough constant work rolling in without having to feel like I need to look for more jobs outside. You don't know where your reach is gonna get, so post to all the social medias as much as you can. Secondly, there are freelance platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, and Behance. It's a great way to start building up your client list. I don't know much about Behance, to be very honest, but I've tried Upwork and Fiverr. I never got a job on Upwork though, but I did get a few commissions on Fiverr. The only problem that I have with Fiverr is that it is very, very competitive and the prices are quite ridiculous and cheap. And I realized early on that I didn't want to keep on using the application to get clients anymore and just focus on my Instagram. I generally don't like posting on TikTok, but recently I decided to post a few of my works on TikTok and it kind of went viral. Not viral, but just enough to get me the traction that I needed. That also brought people to my Instagram. From there to my business WhatsApp, where I can now attend to them. So you never know where your clients are going to come from. Even on Pinterest, I've had friends send some of my work to me that they found on Pinterest. You don't know where your reach is going to get. So post to all the social medias as much as you can. And last but not the least, code pitching. It sounds scary, but trust me, sending an email to a brand you love with your portfolio could be a start of something amazing. Worst case, they ignore you, but at least you tried, right? Earlier this year, I joined a mentorship class, and in the mentorship class, I learned a few things like code pitching, the elevator pitch, and we were asked to come up with an elevator pitch to a client. Like imagine you meet a client, or you meet a potential client outside, maybe at a party or at an event, and you have to code pitch yourself, or you have to pitch yourself. How would you do it? And that really brought me out of my shell, because since then, I've been able to send my portfolios to brands without feeling awkward or anything. And I've gotten a few responses back. So that is why you have to let your work speak for you. And also remember to practice. Your work has to speak for you. There are some places that you yourself can speak, but the moment they see your work, they already think this is the person we want. And that is what we like to hear in this business. The next thing on the agenda is pricing your work. Pricing. The thing that makes every freelancer question their life choices. When you are starting out, it is okay to price a little lower while building your portfolio. But do not undersell yourself. You're not just drawing pretty pictures. You're creating art and putting your time into it. Factor in how long it takes you to create a piece, the complexity, and the inevitable revisions. Because trust me, there will always be revisions. Your clients will always come back for revisions. As your skills grow and your clients' lists get longer, don't be afraid to rate your rates. Think of it like leveling up in a video game, except the reward is money. When I started out as a fashion illustrator, I used to charge way less than I'm charging right now. One thing I'm going to tell you is that pricing your art at the level that you think your art is at is more beneficial than you knowing that, okay, your art is not like up there yet, but you're not charging excessively. You're not going to get clients that way. You're not going to be able to build your portfolio as fast as you can. When you feel like you've upgraded in your skills, then you're going to raise your rates, and you keep doing that to get as much money as you want. One of the hardest parts about freelancing is staying motivated. There are some days that you feel like you're on top of the world, like you're going to conquer the world. You're going to get all your shit together. You're going to get everything organized and done. But there's some days that you pick up your pencil or your stylus pen and you can't even draw a straight line. What a life. It happens. It is normal. Those days are perfectly normal. This job is just as hard as any other job. It takes a lot of mental work. You have to be able to put in the time to really get the result that you want. So this is what helps me. I like to set goals. Whether it is learning a new skill or starting a new series, it is good to know what you're aiming for. So what I do is I write down the things I need to do for a week. On a Sunday, I write down everything I need to do for that week. And each day, I still go back to write down the names or the jobs I need to get done each day, because that would actually help you in knowing what you're meant to do, what your deliverables are for that week. So you kind of know that you cannot slack off. And just because you're freelancing and there is nobody directly to hold you to your word does not mean you should not take this job as seriously as you should. The moment I took this hobby seriously, that was when my life turned around and changed for the better. Another thing I will tell you is to practice. You know what they say about practice, right? Practice makes perfection. So when you practice, it's like learning, when you're learning a new skill, the more you do something, I believe the better you get at it. And then when you take breaks from learning those things, it actually pulls you back. And when you go back to it, it becomes even much harder to learn. So what I would advise is for you to practice, even if it's 1 hour daily, you need to practice on your skills. A lot of the things that I do now were things I actually learned on the job. Just because you're not perfect yet at drawing does not mean you can't start any money from it, honestly. Because I started earning money from this job even way before I got better at drawing. Now let's get to my story. How I started as a fashion illustrator. When I first started, I had no clue what I was doing, like zero. I never knew fashion illustration was a thing generally, and especially here in Nigeria. I never even knew that there was another illustrator in Nigeria. I legit thought I was the only illustrator in Nigeria at that point, and this was back in 2016. But I knew I loved drawing and fashion, so I just kept going. I spent hours watching tutorials and practicing. At first, I got small commissions from a few brands, and like the pay was next to nothing. There are even some jobs that I did back then that I never actually got paid for. But over time, I started putting myself out there. I started becoming more expressive. I never was comfortable with speaking to clients back then. And when I see my phone ringing and it's a client, I just get so anxious. And now here I am working with amazing clients and selling my own courses. If I can do it, trust me, you can do it too. You just need to start somewhere. Preferably today, because tomorrow you'll still be thinking about it. I promise you, you need to get started now. You don't have to spend a lot of money to learn this job. I never paid for any class when I started. I was always watching a lot of YouTube tutorials from Zoe Hong, from the likes of Sketcher. Those are a few that I can remember right now, but they really, really helped my life, because if I had not started back then, I wouldn't be where I am today. And lastly, what I do is to stay inspired. I like to follow a lot of my fellow illustrators as well to see what they're up to. You're not necessarily copying them, but you're just there to like get inspired, see what is on trend. You yourself need to be, Pinterest has to be your friend. You have to be able to go online, make your research. Not just Pinterest. I'm very sure that there are some other apps that are also as good, but it's just that I personally really, really like Pinterest. So you need to keep your creative energy flowing. If you can afford to go to a museum, if you can afford to go to art and craft markets, anything artsy, anything that you think you could be inspired by, feel free to do that. I personally don't. I'm more of an insider. I really cannot blame myself. I love working from home. I'm used to staying at home. So that's my journey on making a living as a fashion illustrator. It is not always easy, but with passion and hard work, you can make it happen. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share with your friends that need creative motivation. Don't forget to subscribe for more tips on being a better illustrator. Bye guys. See you in the next one.